I looked through my GF Snapchat and regret it. In the intricate dance of modern relationships, trust is the silent partner that holds everything together. It's that delicate, often unspoken thread that binds two people, providing a foundation for intimacy, vulnerability, and love. For over 2 years now, I had been in what I considered a blissful relationship with my girlfriend. Let's call her Emily. Our connection was seemingly effortless, a harmonious blend of shared laughter, dreams, and occasional arguments that were quickly resolved with apologies and tender embraces. We were, in many ways, the epitome of a modern couple. We had our ritual Sunday brunch at our favorite cafe, binge-watching series until the early hours of the morning, and those quiet moments of just being together. Emily and I had built a comfortable life, one where our idiosyncrasies fit together like pieces of a well-worn puzzle. I cherished the little things, how she always had to have a blanket on the couch, even in summer, or how she would text me random thoughts during the day that made me smile. It was these moments that formed the fabric of our relationship, a tapestry woven with threads of mutual respect and affection. However, our seemingly perfect relationship had its share of shadows, particularly the stories Emily had shared about her ex-boyfriend. Early on in our relationship, she told me about his habit of checking her phone regularly. She recounted it with a sort of resigned nonchalance, as if it were a mild annoyance rather than a significant invasion of privacy. Each time, I would respond with disbelief, saying, "That's crazy. I could never do that. Trust is the cornerstone of any relationship." Emily would smile, her eyes reflecting a mixture of nostalgia and relief. "I didn't mind," she would say. "I had nothing to hide, so there was nothing to find." Her tone was always casual, almost dismissive, and I took her words at face value. I admired her transparency and the ease with which she seemed to have moved past that chapter of her life. It reassured me that she valued the trust we had built. As time went on, these conversations faded into the background of our lives, replaced by the immediacy of our daily routines and shared experiences. Our weekdays were a blur of work and routine, but our weekends were sacred. We had a ritual of lazy Sunday mornings, starting with her making pancakes while I brewed the coffee. The smell of freshly ground beans and sizzling batter would fill our small apartment, a sensory symphony that heralded the start of our day. One particular Saturday, Emily decided to go shopping. It was a mundane task, one that didn't require much thought. She kissed me goodbye, her lips soft and warm, and headed out, leaving her phone on the kitchen counter. I noticed it there. Its sleek screen dark and silent, but thought little of it. It wasn't unusual for Emily to be forgetful. Her mind was often a whirlwind of ideas and plans, flitting from one thing to another like a butterfly in a field of flowers. I went about my own morning routine, lost in the tranquility of our home. The sun cast a golden glow through the windows, and I found myself savoring the peace of a quiet morning alone. But then it happened, the sound that would change everything. A rapid succession of notifications, a cacophony of ding, ding, ding that shattered the silence. It seemed to go on forever, each chime a tiny, insistent echo that tugged at my curiosity. I glanced at her phone, still sitting innocently on the counter, and felt a surge of temptation. I knew I should leave it alone, respect her privacy as I had always said I would, but something, a nagging curiosity, a spark of insecurity I hadn't fully acknowledged, compelled me to pick it up. My heart pounded in my chest as I held it, the weight of the device suddenly feeling significant. Her privacy settings were on, so I couldn't see much from the lock screen. Just vague hints and half-hidden previews that only piqued my curiosity further. I stood there, wrestling with my conscience. I should have put the phone down, walked away, but I didn't. Instead, I unlocked it, a simple act that felt like opening Pandora's box. Almost immediately, a cold knot formed in my stomach. As I swiped through her messages, most of it was mundane chats with friends, work emails, social media notifications. I felt a slight relief, thinking maybe I was overreacting, but then I opened Snapchat, and there it was. Among her recent conversations was a chat with her ex, not the one she had told me about, but another I hadn't known of before. The chat history was a painful revelation. There were explicit photos saved in the thread, sent back and forth, a visual record of a relationship that had once been intensely intimate. My hands trembled as I scrolled through, seeing images I wished I couldn't see. Many of the photos were dated, from before we were together, which offered some cold comfort. But it was the more recent exchanges that twisted the knife deeper. Though they were less sexual, the fact that they were still in contact, still sharing a connection, was a blow to the trust I had believed was unshakable. The explicit photos, especially the ones from her ex, felt like a dagger. I was aware, in the abstract, of her past relationships, and I had always believed I was secure enough to handle it. But seeing those images, the stark reality of her intimacy with another person, brought a wave of insecurity crashing over me. The sight of his well-endowed figure was something I could never forget. It was burned into my memory, a vivid and unwelcome reminder of her life before me. I felt a mix of emotions: anger, betrayal, and a nagging sense of inadequacy. My mind raced with questions. Why was she still talking to him? What did it mean for us? I felt a knot in my chest, a heavy weight of confusion and hurt. Part of me wanted to confront her immediately, to demand answers. But another part of me, the more rational side, knew that this wasn't the way to handle it. I needed to approach this conversation carefully, to understand her perspective and convey my feelings without descending into accusations or mistrust. When Emily returned from shopping, she was cheerful and unaware of the storm brewing within me. She greeted me with a smile, chatting about her morning, showing me the things she had bought. I responded mechanically, my mind only half present. Every time she looked at me, I felt a pang of guilt and confusion. How could I bring this up? How could I explain what I had done, and more importantly, how it had made me feel? As the day wore on, my anxiety grew. I knew I couldn't let this fester, but finding the right moment and words seemed impossible. We went about our day as usual, the normalcy of our activities a stark contrast to the turmoil inside me. That evening, as we were sitting together on the couch, watching a movie, I took a deep breath and decided to speak up. "I need to talk to you about something," I began, my voice betraying my nervousness. Emily looked at me, sensing the gravity in my tone, and her expression shifted to concern. "What is it?" she asked, her eyes searching mine. I hesitated, trying to find the right words. "Earlier today, while you were out, your phone went off. There were a lot of notifications, and I looked at it. I know I shouldn't have, but I did." Her expression changed, a mixture of surprise and apprehension. "Okay, and what did you find?" I took another deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "I saw your chat with your ex on Snapchat. The photos, the messages, it was a lot to take in." Her face fell, and she looked away, clearly processing what I had said. There was a long silence, each second stretching painfully. Finally, she spoke, her voice quiet. "I'm sorry. I should have told you that we were still in touch. It wasn't anything serious. Just old habits, I guess." "But the photos," I pressed, unable to keep the hurt from my voice. "Seeing those, it was hard." She nodded, her eyes reflecting a mix of guilt and regret. "Those were from before we were together. I didn't think to delete them. I didn't realize it would hurt you this much. I'm really sorry." I could see she was sincere, but the pain was still fresh. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "Why keep it from me?" She sighed, running a hand through her hair. "I guess I didn't want to upset you. I didn't think it mattered because it was all in the past. But I can see now that it does matter. I should have been more honest." We talked for a long time that night, unpacking the emotions and insecurities that had been brought to the surface. It was a difficult conversation, fraught with tension and vulnerability, but it was also a necessary one. We both acknowledged our mistakes, her for not being open about her continued contact with her ex, and me for invading her privacy. As we lay in bed that night, holding each other close, I felt a tentative sense of hope. Relationships are never perfect, they are messy and complex, filled with moments of joy and pain. But with trust, communication, and a willingness to face our flaws together, I believe we could navigate the challenges ahead. The following weeks were a period of healing and rebuilding. Emily and I made a concerted effort to be more transparent with each other, to communicate openly about our past and our present. It wasn't easy. There were moments of doubt and insecurity. But we faced them together. We set boundaries and made promises, not just to avoid past mistakes but to strengthen our connection. One evening, as we sat on the balcony of our apartment, watching the city lights flicker in the distance, Emily turned to me and said, "Thank you for being patient with me. I know it's been hard, but I want you to know that I'm committed to us." Her words were a balm to my still tender heart. "I'm committed to," I replied. "We're in this together." The city buzzed below us, a living testament to the countless stories and struggles that unfolded every day. In that moment, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and clarity. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but it was real, a living, breathing entity that required care, attention, and understanding. We continued to build on that foundation, taking one day at a time. Our rituals resumed, each one a small step towards normalcy. Sunday mornings became a time of reflection and connection once more. The smell of coffee and pancakes filled our home, mingling with the laughter and love that had always defined us. In the months that followed, Emily and I grew closer. We learned to navigate our insecurities, to support each other through the challenges, and to celebrate the victories, no matter how small. Our relationship was stronger, not because we had avoided pain, but because we had faced it head-on and emerged on the other side with a deeper understanding of each other. Looking back, I realized that trust isn't about never making mistakes. It's about how you handle them when they happen. It's about the willingness to be vulnerable, to admit your flaws, and to work together towards a common goal. Emily and I had done that, and in doing so, we had forged a bond that was resilient and enduring. Our story was far from over. There would be more challenges, more moments of doubt and uncertainty. But as long as we faced them together, with honesty and love, I knew we could overcome anything. The journey of rebuilding trust is ongoing, a continuous effort to understand and support each other. It's about learning from our mistakes and growing stronger together, even when the path is difficult. And as we moved forward, I held on to the hope that our relationship would emerge from every test more resilient, more honest, and more deeply connected than before. In the end, it wasn't about the past or the mistakes we had made, but about the future we were building together, a future grounded in love, trust, and a shared commitment to each other.